I just, yes, I was just about to say to everyone on this platform, we are going to record this event, and I hope you don't mind. If you have any objection, please say so by the chat, and then we can obviously deal with that. So we will be recording this event, so please be aware of that. And we also want to be sure that everything we say is awesome and obviously relate exactly to the reason why we all gather here today. The management of this wonderful charity have obviously instructed that the reason for today is to raise fund, especially to deal with the main project that they have been actually dealing with. So I want to say welcome to everyone that is actually on this platform at this point in time. And before I go into introducing people, but let me quickly give you some background as to who Teso is. Teso Education Fund. And obviously, as you know, they are a charity based in the UK and also based in Uganda, have relationship and affiliation with Kenya. And the main project of Teso is also going to be limited, as you can imagine, to just those two countries. So we're looking at actually cross borders, to making sure this is something that could be replicated across Africa and other places. But first and foremost, the executive chairman of this wonderful charity has asked us today, as we gathered, to make sure we do everything accordingly. So, who is Teso? Why is Teso very important? But I'll leave that part in itself to the executive chairman, who would talk a lot about that in more detail. But from my perspective, I think all of you on this platform at this point in time would like to know, this is a charity that intervenes in health projects, in education projects, looking after children and young people, and also young adults. And that is not enough. They can also intervene in any project they found wonderful that could really help young people. Those in education, those not in employment, not in education, not in training are also a major part of the project that they're doing. And why are we associated with this wonderful charity? It's because of the people behind it. Now I'll be talking a bit more about Dr. Patrick Igulot, who is the executive chairman of this wonderful charity, who believes so much in rule of law and also organization. And he believes that what is worth doing at all is worth doing well. There's no point starting a charity if you cannot manage it and make sure you're accountable and able to deliver what you promised to deliver. And I'm sure all of us today will put our hands together and obviously welcome this wonderful initiative. And you've seen a little clips, video of few projects that is being carried out, training young people to become valuable to themselves. And I'm sure you know how wonderful Uganda is. I mean, my visit to Uganda a while ago to Kampala, to the source of Nile River, to Lake Victoria, shows that we have a country, if that part of the world is in the Western world, that would be a tourist destination of choice. I mean, for goodness sake, when I went there to see just how parallel with source of Nile River to Lake Victoria is, and looking behind me is the sea actually flowing. That's a wonderful place to be. So I really, really want to commend this initiative. And I want to start by obviously not wasting too much time, because we know majority of you who are here today have a lot to do. But let me quickly mention to you, we have some heavyweights in the house today who will be participating and saying a lot about what we are here for. And of course, we will hear from the executive chairman himself, Dr. Patrick Igulot, who is a very outstanding person. I mean, I could continue to read about his background, and if that will make it actually very easy. But we also have Professor Chris Mafidon in the house, and also Professor Venansious, who is, I would say, a mentor, someone Dr. Patrick actually admire. Again, he will talk more about that in itself. They're all in the house. So I'm very, very privileged today to be talking in the presence of those heavyweights. So without further ado, let me quickly say a few words about who this gentleman is. Dr. Patrick Igulot is an executive chairman, director of Teso Education Fund since its founding in August 2020. And outside of charity work, Dr. Igulot is a senior lecturer and the head of department of health and social care at the University of Sunderland since 2020. So obviously on one hand, he's serving the public in the UK, but also not forgetting his roots, where he came from. And from 2015 to 2016, he was a visiting lecturer in social statistics at the City University of London, where he completed his PhD in 2017 on the topic of vulnerability and risk to HIV infections in Uganda, because he saw that HIV was basically traveling so fast in that part of the continent. And he chose this to actually study and to see how he can circumvent and deal with those issues. Dr. Igulot is a researcher who specializes in quantitative research, including population level surveys, analysis of large quantitative data. It is very much data driven. He believes in one thing, that what is working at all is working well. So in education, its interests are inequality in education with a focus on the influence of ethnicity on higher education. He also one of those piloting decolonization of education. He believes in the quality of education, and I think that's very important. Dr. Igulot is a development consultant and was an advisor to the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Gender and Social Development on a project to streamline and expand social care and support in 2021. So as I mentioned, he's working tirelessly both in the UK and back in Africa, especially Uganda. Dr. Igulot also has a public health background, having worked in the AIDS support organization in different positions and in different stations around Uganda from 2003 to 2013. He's a fellow on the Higher Education Academy and has published quite a great number of publications relating to some of this area that I've mentioned. And he's continued to research on how to publish more. And I believe that's enough for now. There's a lot that you need to know about him. And I believe one-to-one discussion with him as a person will give you a full insight into what he's all about and why you should be part of this wonderful initiative that he has put together. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome on stage Dr. Patrick Igulot to say a few words and to declare this event open. Dr. Igulot, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Larry. I'm just wondering if Honorable Ogwang is in the house yet, so we could have Honorable Peter Ogwang come on the stage, and then I'll come and make my presentation once once it's done.
Okay, is he in the house? I can't seem to see. Just 1 second.
I do not see, but just in case I've missed, Honorable Ogwang, are you in the house?
No, I can't see him. I've looked for his name, but it's not there. Unless it's not using his right login details. No, he's not in the house. I think you can carry on. Once he comes in, we'll kind of bring him back in.
Okay, so again, thank you very much, Dr. Larry, for that introduction. And I'm just going to make my presentation, and then we take it from there. So let me just get it up. You able to see now?
Okay. Yeah, we can see you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I am going to present to you about this education fund. As Larry has said, I am the executive director, and I'm going to, so this is the outline of the presentation. I'll talk about the purpose of this education fund. I will talk about the demand for scholarships. I'll present to you the achievements and how we finance this education fund, the challenges that we've met, and I'll finish with some of the plans that we have. So let's talk about the purpose first. So this education fund is a UK charitable incorporated organization, a registered number 1196-225, with operations in the UK and overseas, specifically at the moment, Uganda and Kenya. The headquarters is in London, and this education fund was formally established in August 2020 and became registered in October last year. So as an incorporated organization, this education fund is a dual entity, meaning we are both a charity and a social enterprise. As a charity, we provide services to the public to improve public well-being. And as a social enterprise, we are mandated to undertake some business to support our charity work. Our vision is a world in which all young people are well educated, skilled, and empowered to be able to live their lives to their full potential. And our mission is to improve the well-being of underprivileged children, families, and communities throughout Teso in Uganda and elsewhere through sustainable development, sustainable advancement of education and skills training, undertaking other development interventions, and ensuring social inclusion. So it's very much about, focusing on the underprivileged, through education, but while including everyone else who might be left out of the development process. What's our goal? Our goal is to advance education and skills training of people who are unable to continue their education by supporting those people, supporting educators and education and training institutions, preventing or alleviating poverty, undertaking community education, undertaking other social and economic interventions, and ensuring social inclusion in the education systems wherever we work, in Uganda, in Kenya, and here in the United Kingdom. So what are our objectives? our objectives are, first and foremost, we recognize that a lot of children are not able to continue their education. So our first focus is on formal education. And then we recognize that a lot of children cannot complete formal education. So we have an intention to support children through vocational education. And we recognize that education is influenced by a number of factors, including poverty. So we set out to prevent or alleviate poverty so as to enable families and communities to afford education. And we recognize that some of the improvements required in society just require community education. So our fourth objective is around community education on a range of issues, from financial literacy to environmental awareness to local language to grammar and so on and so forth. Last but not least, our intent is to ensure social inclusion, especially of those groups that are likely to be left out of the development process. Women, girls, those who are disabled, and other groups that may be made disadvantaged. So, what are our strategies? Our strategies are first and foremost being organized. So TEF is registered and organized with structures, policies, and systems. So we have management in place, we have a board in place, we have policies in place. All of these anchor our operations. Above all, with all of this, we aim to be professional and we operate professionally. Our second strategy is around impact. TEF values and works to deliver results that guarantee impact to individuals, families, communities, and ultimately the countries we operate in. As I've just said, we focus on vocational education because we recognize that a lot of young people are not able to complete their education. So we want to give them an opportunity to acquire skills that can enhance their employability and sustainability. So at the moment, our core focus is on vocational education and training. Our fourth strategy is on beneficiary donor. So our intention is to support young people for 1, 2, or 3 years. When they finish, we are hoping that they become donors themselves, so that by the time the first group finishes and gets employment, they'll join the rest of us in donating and supporting those who are coming after them. So this is a very key part of our model to make sure that to ensure that those who are supported also come in to join the struggle to help others. Number 5, we work with Teso Education Fund Uganda, which is a sister organization that guarantees effective implementation. So when we raise funds in the UK, we do not struggle to find who to implement. We do not even worry whether the work will be implemented well. So we have a reliable implementing partner that guarantees the achievement of what we want to achieve. So, so I've talked about strategies. So how do we select, beneficiaries? First and foremost, obviously, we have to raise funds. When we raise funds, we go to the board and seek permission to advertise. So we advertise the scholarships publicly, giving enough time for applicants to apply. And applications are simple and are submitted online. You just need to have your documents, or the questions are just tick box, are you this, are you that, and then you submit your application. When the applications are submitted and the deadline has passed, the applications are reviewed by an independent panel of members from the UK and from Uganda. And that panel provides a shortlist that the board in Uganda and UK are going to review, and then those shortlisted are interviewed in the Uganda office. Once they're interviewed, the boards of TEF UK and TEF Uganda again sit to approve now the final list of those to be offered scholarships. A scholarship award ceremony is then arranged so that we publicly offer the scholarship letters, but also advise and guide the scholarship beneficiaries of what this is all about. We try to envision them about TEF. We try to rationalize to them why society is investing in them, and challenge them to work hard while they are at school. So the scholars then go to school, and we transfer fees from the UK to our Ugandan partner, who then pays the institution directly. So I've talked about how we select, but specifically when the shortlisting is being done, we use a criteria. So we have a selection criteria. So the panel, reviews each application and scores based on age, sex, your performance, disability, where you studied, whether you want a full scholarship or partial scholarship, whether you have an admission letter or not. Admission letter is key. We do not take people who are speculating. We take people who are ready to go to school. So if you don't have admission, you can't be sponsored by Teso Education Fund. So that is about Teso Education Fund and our strategies and how we select beneficiaries. So let me now show you the extent of need for scholarships in Uganda. So early this year, we advertised scholarships and we got 99 eligible applicants, those who were admitted and ready to go to school. Half of these were female, the other half were male. We asked them where they started from, and majority of them started in Teso, meaning their circumstances don't allow them to leave the region to go and seek better education in the city. So these are people who are already vulnerable, and that's why they basically study locally. And then we asked them how, what level they stopped. So majority stopped at O level, and the others, went to A level. We asked them how they performed in their last exam. So you can see that majority of applicants had achieved Division 2, then Division 3, and Division 4. The Division 1s probably have opportunities elsewhere, but the ones who are left behind are Division 2, Division 3, and Division 4. We asked the applicants how they funded their education or how their education was funded. So you can see that 98% of the applicants had their education privately. Conversely, only 2% or 2 out of 99 individuals said their education was funded by government. So you can see the amount of responsibility families have. And I believe our speakers will talk about the poverty situation in Uganda, which is quite a big issue. But what we can see is that nearly all of these applicants funded their education privately. And that is the big issue. So we asked them what was the plan to study, and you can see that 73% want to study science-related courses, mainly health courses. So again, our young people recognize that the science is the way to go, and all of them, in a way, are aspiring to be scientists. So we asked them, how long their course is. You can see that almost half of them want to study a 2-year course, which is largely a diploma. The other half, slightly over 2 years. Some diplomas are 2.5 years, but others are, and some people want to study 4 degrees. So it's either a 2-year course or a 3-year course. So we asked the applicants whether they want a partial or full scholarship. And you can see that 85% of the applicants wanted full scholarship. Okay, so of the 99 that were eligible, had an admission and ready to go to school, this education fund managed to sponsor 16, which is 15%. So as we speak now, we have a backlog of 83 applicants who are ready to go to school. And if there was magic anywhere, where we could find nearly 200,000 pounds, we would get the children to school. So sponsoring 83 students for 2 years would require close to 200,000 pounds or 800 million Uganda shillings. So these are some of the beneficiaries that came to the conference we had in April. 7 of them managed to come who were studying in and around the city. Okay, so I've taken you through how we select and what the need is. So let's talk about the achievements of this education fund now. So in terms of the achievements, so we started in 2020, and by 2021, we were able to sponsor 8 students fully. And the 8 are in the picture, and you can see the list on the screen. And then, of course, this year, we have sponsored 16 students fully. And again, the list is there. And 81% of these are studying science courses, with the exception of Patricia and Marion and Grace. All the others are studying science-related courses. In terms of geographical distribution of the beneficiaries, the scholarships are offered equitably across the region. So you can see there is a beneficiary from each of the districts in the region, with the exception of Tororo, who had 1 applicant, but would not meet the criteria. So, but our intent is to sponsor 20 students per 20 students per district over 5 years. So now I'm going to give you specific cases. So in May this year, I traveled to Uganda to see what's going on. And I had to visit the students and, hear from them, find out how they are performing, and try to inspire them to work hard and succeed. So I managed to meet half of the students we support. And this is David Morulem. Is doing a diploma in nursing. And he has his own story. His father fell ill, and they had to use all the money they had to treat the father. And before long, his brother lost his job, and the rest. So until Steph, intervened. So David has made tremendous progress. He's the leader in the institute, And importantly, he wants to become a medical doctor as soon as he finishes his diploma. I went to see Leonard Oburia, who's doing building construction, and he's an outstanding leader already. He has many achievements, and unfortunately, while I was there, he lost his brother. But that is Leonard, who is doing extremely well. I went to see Madel Layo, who is doing pharmacy, a certificate in pharmacy in Soroti, coming from Amuria. So I was very touched by Madel's story. We sponsored Madel, but her family couldn't afford hostel fees. And so she has to live with relatives, and she has to walk long distances to the college. And in fact, when I went to the college, she couldn't be traced because she doesn't have a phone. They checked everywhere. They said, no, we can't find Madel. So I had to go back the following day. That's when, we were able to find her. No one knew where, she stays, no one. So it was a touching story. And while I was in that college, the director called all the students, and I had to give a career session to the whole college of nearly 1,000 students. So I then traveled to Tumbale area where I met Patrick, a pirate, who's doing certificate in nursing. Patrick has a long, story. He spent 11 long years out of school until TEF came to his rescue. In fact, Patrick had missed the opportunity because we had sponsored the ones we could afford, but he came back crying, said, I have been out of school for a long time. So I had to go out of the way to request people to support Patrick. And eventually someone came to Patrick's rescue and offered to support him. But even just after paying the first tuition fees, that person also lost a job. So we are now there with Patrick. But anyhow, Patrick is there. He wants to be a neurosurgeon when he finishes his certificate, does his diploma, and eventually goes on to do a degree. I went to see Joseph Ojilong, who's doing certificate in nursing at Mount Elgon in Mbale. Joseph equally has a story. He had no hope at all of getting education. He spent years out of school, and he was riding a boda, which is a motorcycle taxi in Uganda, for survival. He had no hope until this opportunity came, and he said, well, let me try and also apply. I went to see Lillian, who's doing certificate in records and health information. She's from Kumi. And Lillian also has a story. She had no hope at all. She spent 1 year out of school until TEF came to her rescue. And I went to see Deborah. Deborah is doing diploma in laboratory technology and in Mukono in Uganda. She was always being sent out of school because of tuition, but Deborah has an aspiration to become a doctor as well. Susan, long story, often since birth, raised by a single mom, who almost died because of worries about her child's education. So until TEF came around, Susan is now in school doing certificate in nursing, but wants to upgrade until she gets to the highest possible point. And she wants to have unique plans for Teso Education Fund when she finishes. I went to see Augustine. They're all in the same school. The 4 of them are in one institution. He's doing certificates in medical laboratory technology. And he's also an orphan, had no hope at all, raised by a single mom. And so the mom wanted to get a loan to send him to school. But he said, Mom, you've suffered for so long. You can't afford to educate me with a loan again. And fortunately, TEF came around, and the mom and the family were relieved. Then there's Naboth doing clinical medicine, had no hope at all. We even when we gave him the scholarship offer, he went to the institution, and the institution refused to admit him because they didn't trust that this education fund was genuine. So they rejected him, and we had to find him another school where he is now. But Naboth is a focused man, and he definitely wants to be a doctor when he finishes his diploma. So I went to see Daniel, who's doing diploma in computer science and IT at Cavendish University in Kampala. Daniel's from Ngora. So Daniel's family struggled to educate him to where he was. But when I met Daniel, his family couldn't afford to pay hostel fees. So what does he do? He lives with a friend who is studying at Makerere University, and he has to commute about 4 or 5 miles walking to Cavendish. So Agnes is doing diploma in fisheries management at the Fisheries Institute in Entebbe. She's doing very well. She's the Minister of Gender in the Institute. She's clearly a leader in making, and she is always a happy person. And the instructor there, Mr. Kakuru, in a Cape, was all praise for Agnes. Okay, Marion is doing certificate in catering, having finished just primary 7, and we were there during lunchtime, and Marion invited us to lunch, and so I had lunch with Marion, with my driver and her teacher there at the corner. Okay, I saw Joseph Okello doing diploma in agriculture at Kumi University. So there are so many stories. He wants to have his own enterprise, he wants to help the community, he wants to give back to TEF, and he wants to upgrade to a degree after he finishes his diploma. I saw Patricia, who's doing diploma in business administration at Uganda College of Commerce, and I went to her place of internship. You can see she was in accounts office. Very appreciative of what TEF has done for her. So let me now talk about the finances. How do we find all this money to help these young people? So our total annual income is about 15 million. We are currently doing the accounts, and the accurate figure will be published very soon. But the working figures is 15 million, is 15,000 pounds of income. And we use about 12,000 of that in tuition fees alone, and then the rest goes to administration. We spend about 500 pounds or 2 million shillings per student per year. So just to give you a sense, for the first cohort, we spent 10 million, almost 11 million, just for one term. And that's about 2,300 pounds. So remember, we have the first cohort of 8 students, and we have a second cohort of 16. So the first cohort alone, one term, that's the amount we spent. And then the second cohort, one term, that's the amount we spent, almost 16 million. So overall, we spend about 25 million shillings, or about 6,000 pounds a term to pay tuition fees alone. So where does the money come from? As we speak now, we haven't got any institutional funder. So we raise this money ourselves. We, the people who feel the need to give back. As you can see, for us to kickstart this charity, we had to make contributions. And these are the people, some of the people who made contributions in 2020 for the 2021 scholarship sponsorships. So we do not have any sponsor outside of ourselves who are keen and passionate about giving back to community. For the second cohort, we have another list. First of all, these same people had to continue even supporting for the second cohort, in the second cohort, but in the second cohort, we had more people come on board, and that's why we were able to take on more students. So in terms of challenges, the main one is capacity. TEF relies on volunteers. We are all volunteers, and so we have to find time to do ABCD. So if we don't have time, a lot of work doesn't. And as we speak now, we still have vacancies we want to fill, but we don't have volunteers coming forward to help us. Obviously, we don't have finances. So you've just seen that what we have, we just try to squeeze from our own family budgets to support others. And of course, there was COVID and so on, which was an external factor. But the main issue is capacity and financial resources. What are our plans? We have a detailed 5-year plan, but just for this meeting, regarding formal education, we are committed to providing tutor scholarships annually. For vocational education, our target is 40 scholarships annually. For structural barriers, we want to undertake health interventions and other economic interventions. For community education, we are focused on Teso language and culture lessons. And as we build capacity, we'll do a bit more. And then on social inclusion, our target is 60% female student sponsored and at least 10% people with disability whenever we find them. So that is what we intend. There's a bit more, but just for the meeting, that should do. For the third cohort, we need about 12,000 pounds. That's about 60 million Uganda shillings to sponsor 25 students in February, March next year. And that is sponsorship just for 1 year. 2 years definitely is about 24,000 pounds and so on. And as I already said, it costs 500 pounds or about $600 or 2 million Uganda shillings to sponsor one student for 1 year. So I invite all of you to pledge, and you can pay directly to the bank. The information will be provided. But if you don't have the money, you can pledge, and you can pay your pledge in installment. But you can also set up a direct debit, and then you pay bit by bit to Teso Education Fund. Thank you very much for listening to me. That's all I wanted to say this morning.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Patrick Igulot. I don't think anyone who is here today will say they have not seen how organized and how instrumental you have been in this case. So we thank you so much. We've seen during your presentation, someone was just trying to draw some red lines, we believe, but I've just made an announcement on the platform. We have IP addresses of everyone that is actually on this platform. So if your intentions are not very clear, are not meant to be collegial, we will track you down, and be aware of that. We'll also report you as well. But once I notice who you are, we will kick you out of the system. So please, this is an event, a very, very important event. We will not entertain anyone disrupting this event. Thank you for that. So thank you so much, Dr. Patrick Igulot. That was fantastic. I paid all my, usually I don't pay attention to presentation, but I did, because the data are just so revealing to an extent that I say, when I mentioned that earlier on, that this is an organized person, an organized event, that is so interesting. You said it all. I mean, in case anyone feel that they need to sponsor. I mean, currently we know around the world that people are sponsoring dogs, sponsoring cats, sponsoring birds, sponsoring quite a whole lot of things. But we also know that human lives matters. And what Dr. Igulot is doing here is making sure every children in the developing economy have that opportunity to be educated. Because education is very important. If you say education is expensive, please ask the amount of money you can spend on ignorance. So ignorance is more expensive than being educated. So I think we all need to work together here to see the need to support this very initiative. So without further ado, we will home in on this again before the end of the session, where we invite the executive chairman himself to do a summary of what we're doing here today. But we still have quite a heavyweight in the room, and I think it's the right time now for me to welcome Professor Venansious. I like to pronounce his last name properly so I don't get fired. Professor Venansious Baryamureeba. He is a mathematician, a computer scientist, an academic administrator, and a professor of computer science. He is currently the chairman of the board of directors of Uganda Technology and Management University, which is called UTAMU, and the chairperson of the board of directors of UTAMU Research and Innovation City. This is a very, very busy man, but he was one of the first to log into this event this evening. So he's been attentively listening to what is being presented so far. Professor Baryamureeba is also the chairperson of the board of directors of ICT Consults Limited, managing director of ICT Consult Limited, chancellor of Ibadan University, and the chairperson of the Tima University, appointed as a board of directors among others. So I would say from 2009 to 2012, Professor Baryamureeba was a vice chancellor of Makerere University in Uganda, one of the best, I would say, premier university in Uganda, actually as confirmed by Time Higher Education 2022. And that is ranked 17 in Africa, among the universities in Africa. So he's a well-recognized individual and for his hard work as well. Most importantly, he founded, one of the founders of UTAMU, a private university, and acted as a vice chancellor himself between 2013 to 2015 before he gave the baton to somebody else. I must also mention that from 1994 to 1998, Professor Baryamureeba worked as a teaching assistant in the Institute of Statistics and Applied Economics at Makerere University. So he had a very long relationship with that beautiful university in Africa. From 1995 to 1996, he also worked as an assistant lecturer at the Institute of Teacher Education in Kiambogo, which is now part of the Kiambogo University. As we mentioned, it's imperative to know that a small group of committed individuals can change the world. So here is the professor himself trying to use different avenues, not only establishing universities to train people, but also becoming part of a charity that will educate young people and to make their life better. We want to salute a professor for all his hard work. Because of time, if you want to read more about what he has been doing, which is magnificent, such a very, very interesting individual. You can read more about him. We have a lot of his details on the website that you can read, which I believe will give you a whole lot of new dimension to his person. So without any further ado, I'd like to invite him to please come on stage to present his paper for today. Professor Venansious, please.
Chairman, Thank you very much. That kind of introduction is done when they are burying people. But I appreciate it. At the burial, they will say all sorts of things. So, but I appreciate that. I'm happy to be part of this forum. You are breaking. I don't know whether I'm breaking myself. Am I clear?
Sorry. You're very clear. You're very clear.
Am I clear?
Yes, you
Okay,
are.
then thank you. So I will observe protocol and use a few minutes to make a presentation. I will not use PowerPoint presentation. I'm more interested in the discussion. So I was asked to talk about untapped potential of education in Uganda, looking at education as a strategic intervention. And I really listened in to the previous presentation and I was touched. It is a great presentation. You see, education is the best gift you can give to your children or to your child. And some of us, when we were growing up, our parents were telling us, I not leave you with any inheritance. I only leave you with education. And education is empowerment. Some of us are still standing because we're empowered by education. We were to rely on other people to keep us standing, we had for a long time ago. So what someone needs education to succeed in life and live a quality life. So what you are doing in Teso sub-region is commendable. As you all know, Uganda was an education hub within East Africa. Anybody wanted to study in the old days, come to Mackay University, they'd come to our secondary schools in all parts of Uganda. And almost many prominent Ugandans never studied from their districts. People would move from Kisoro and study from Guru, from Arua, from Tororo. People from Tororo would come to Kampala, Uganda. They would go to Western, like in Tare School, Nyakasura, Chegobe, and so on. The quality of education across the country was good in the old days. It didn't matter where you went. What mattered is that you went to school, and every school had quality teachers. But today we can no longer say the same. So quality of the quality of Ugandan education system has to be looked into. We have to look at it at national level, at regional level, sub-region, even at district level, even within the community where we are based. Because we know that at primary level, and also mostly at secondary level, as you saw from these statistics, children tend to study from their localities. So if somebody is denied quality education at the primary school level, they are likely not to succeed because the foundation is not that strong. So we need to talk about access, equitable access. We need to talk about access to education by marginalized groups. We need to look at financial inclusion or the status of these people who are seeking quality education. Some people don't have the money. So, but the children are bright. How can they access quality education? And what this foundation is doing is exactly that, to enable people who may not have the financial muscle to go to good schools, but attain quality education. We need to look at the issues of regional balance. Maybe talking about Teso sub-region today, but we need to look at, if we are talking about access to education in Uganda, to what extent are we really ensuring that regional balance is emphasized? Not at university level only, or tertiary level, but even at the lowest levels, primary, secondary. Like I said, we may have schools in these regions, in the districts and so on. But when you look at primary living examination results, secondary O-level results, A-level results, what is the performance? That one will tell you about the quality of teachers that are in some of these schools. So these are issues that have to be looked into. And I not forget to mention affirmative action. Even in any given district, you find that girl child is still marginalized. Some of the girls are married off. 2 days ago, I was seeing videos from an area in Western Uganda where parents were happily marrying off kids who were 16 years of age, girls. And people were like making a lot of noise. So it is important that Because we know girls end up becoming mothers. If we don't give them quality education, their children may not get educated either. So educating the girl child is educating a mother, and we all have mothers. So it is important that that issue is also looked at. And even when we are providing funds to foundations and so on, the gender rule should also be emphasized so that these children or the girl child are not left out. Now, when we look at the case of Teso sub-region, majority of primary and secondary school children from this sub-region, they study within the sub-region. So it is important that even when we are looking at mobilizing resources for children in this sub-region to go to school, that the quality of the primary and secondary school system across the sub-region is improved. Now, that one you may not do as a foundation, but working with people in Uganda, working with the politicians. You know, if you want to look at development in different parts of the country, most of these developments are caused by the people from those regions. If you look at somebody who comes from Rira, if they do any investment, that investment will be in Rira or any other major city, but they will not move from Rira and go and invest in Tororo, very rarely. So we have to ensure that we improve the schools, work with the people in the communities to ensure that the primary and secondary school system is at least at acceptable levels. Now, we may not have all the funds, we may not push government to provide all the funds, but let us have centers of excellence in each region. Teso sub-region must fight for some centers of excellence at primary level, at secondary level, and then in those tertiary institutions. We need to invest. I mean, I've seen good donations coming from people in the diaspora. That is very good. But you know, East or West home is best. Each one of us who earns some reasonable money, you don't need a lot of money to start a secondary school or a primary school. Team up maybe 2-3 people. Start a model primary school in Teso sub-region. Others will copy from that. So we need to challenge ourselves and invest in quality primary and secondary education. Now, the other area I will talk about within Teso sub-region is to taking full advantage of tertiary institutions in the sub-region. We may be looking for funds to support people who don't have quality education. But to what extent are we using the local leaders in the region? Are we lobbying government to ensure we take full advantage of the tertiary institutions in the sub-region? It is so hurtful to look at a university like Soroti University, putting up an admission list to the Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. And you find that almost hardly a student from Soroti sub-region is on the list. But this is a university that is based as a regional university. So we need to ensure through bylaws and other means, of course, it starts with educating children from that sub-region. But when we are going to school, I'm not very old, I'm just 53. We realized that actually, even at university, there were people with 2 E's who would come to university, but they would perform better than those who had 3 A's or 4 A's, if they are given that opportunity. So for me, it is not an issue of maybe saying medicine, you need 3 B's, 3 A's. We need to ensure that some of these institutions that are within the region, the sub-region, we will get in students even with 2 E's, and we see how best they perform. They can always be given makeup courses. I've seen people who come in and they end up taking up makeup courses, supplementary courses, and they end up doing very well in the end. So taking full advantage of the tertiary institutions in the region is very, very important. Improving the quality of tertiary institutions within the region. When I keep talking about improving the quality, we have to work with the local leaders. You have several MPs coming from the region. You have people who are associated with the region and are powerful. You have a vice president, you have a speaker of parliament, you have ministers. So these people have to be brought in, because if you are going to cause impact, it has to be integrated or consolidated impact. This foundation is doing its part. But the other part it has to do is to lobby the local leaders, the cultural leaders, to also lobby the politicians to work with them to ensure that the quality of education in the sub-region is improved. We need to institute quotas for students from Teso sub-region. You see, when I started working at Mackay University in 1994, and I joined Mackay University in 1991 as a student. But around that time, women activists came up with a quota to say we need so many female students on programs. And people said these ladies do not qualify, they will not succeed, even quotas in programs like engineering, medicine. But along the way, these students succeeded. So for me, when you look at the way countries have developed, like the United States of America, most of these things are centralized in the states. If you look at Kenya, most of the things that we talk about, like education and so on, are now being focused at county level. So even in Uganda, the sub-regions, the districts, should be looked at centers of excellence. So when we have institutions within a given region, we should not shy away from saying at Soroti University, through bylaws or otherwise, through the leadership that you put at certain university in the region as a regional university, to have a certain quota, maybe 20% of students on medicine, 20% on pharmacy coming from that sub-region. And when you do that quota, they will allow students up to even 2 E's, but you'll be shocked. A student who will come in with 2 E's will end up being the best student. So we may say this is a university like another university is national, but we have to push for our regions. That's why there is a regional university in each region of Uganda. You have Muni in Toro, you have not Muni in West Nile, you have mountains of Muni in Toro and so on. And some of these universities are becoming strategic. They ensure that the people from the region benefit from it. Now, for me, instituting quotas is very, very important. And so that we provide access. Again, strengthening the Teso Education Fund is very, very important. We need to increase on the bursary fund that targets talent, bright students from the sub-region. To not only study from within the region, these bursaries should target them going to the best schools outside the region. Because you see, when somebody gets quality education, even if they are 2 or 3, they are likely to cause change where they come from. You find that one person who is well educated can easily cause impact, and that impact, if you wait, is more than for 100 people. It is those kind of people that will take up positions that can uplift a community. If you produce a vice chancellor of Makerere, that vice chancellor can change your community back home. If you produce an ED of UNRA, like Uganda National Roads Authority, that ED can change the situation back home. If you produce a speaker of parliament and use that speaker, can change the community back home. So we need to ensure that some of our, network is very, very important. The network is somebody's network. So when we get students out of Teso sub-region and enable them to go to schools like King College, Namiryango, and so on, that is also very important. If we get students to go beyond Teso University, to come to Makerere and do engineering, or to go beyond Makerere, maybe in East Africa or abroad through scholarships and so on, it is important. And at the end of the day, they will come back and develop the sub-region. So for me, when I listened to the presentation, the previous one, I was humbled. And I think we need to look at other interventions that can supplement that effort. We need to source for scholarships and bursaries. We know that the core of this foundation is based in the UK. But there are so many other people who live in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, all over the world. To what extent are you now looking at bringing all of them together into like one umbrella association that will lobby for scholarships and bursaries from across the globe, that will lobby for funds from across the globe? And we first of all say we are people from Teso sub-region, but also we bring on board people from other regions to support that cause. Because you see, if we are looking at Uganda developing, Uganda stabilizing as a country, it cannot stabilize unless the whole country is stable. It cannot develop unless the whole country is developed. And that is why when we are looking at the East African community and we are bringing on new members that have political instability and so on, people are saying, oh, it's one way of making them stable. But we really need to ensure that we develop the country holistically. And this goes to the other level of lobbying government support. One thing I've realized for the last 10 years, in Uganda, things are done through lobbying. They don't come easily. So when you have people from the region and friends of the region, you need to use them to lobby for the sub-region. People like Honorable Mukura can lobby, and others. You have so many. The guest of honor today. All these can lobby for the sub-region. So if the voice of lobbying increases, you are likely to see a lot happen. People would say, you mean other people also lobbying for their regions? Yes, they are lobbying. So lobbying should be, you should not worry about what other people are lobbying for. Also lobby for your own sub-region. Issue of mobilizing financial resources from people hailing from Teso, living in Uganda and elsewhere is important. When you look at the donations that were listed there, you realize that there are some key people from Teso sub-region living in Uganda who are missing. You want to see every MP there with at least $2,000 on that list. As much as they are putting funds in their constituencies, you should have them on that list. You know, because MPs are now some of the most paid Ugandans. We need to see the other politicians that don't have to mention one by one being part of this. We need to start bringing on board councillors at LOC5 and so on, you know, involving the communities. And when you have a fund like this that is neutral, that supports everybody, we need to see other institutions like churches, like secondary schools, coming up with physical scholarships. Institutions within the sub-region. I know like in Serere, there's an MP, her name is, I think Adonga, so I'm forgetting her name, but she's a minister. She has schools there, and other people have schools. We need to see some scholarships or bursaries put under this fund, where you have a good selection criteria, and now you're able to provide scholarship students that are those places, but they are being offered by the MPs or the leaders in the region, so that these scholarships go up. I think we need to, one other thing is that we need to lobby for representation at various administrative and governance levels. You see, at times we think that we can organize fundraisings and so on, but being on some boards in a way brings resources to the region. If you sit on a board, let's say of National Water, we sit on a board of UNRWA, you sit on a board of Uganda Revenue Authority, you'll be there on the board, but to some extent, some benefits will come to your region because you still remember where you are born, where you'll be buried, you know? So lobbying, I have told you most things in Uganda are done through lobbying. You don't expect some of the appointments to come anyhow. You read the news, you on social media and so on. People lobby, and you lobby through the leaders you have from within the region. You lobby through the religious leaders, the cultural leaders. So it is important that we lobby and have good representation in administrative and governance structures across the country. That will also enable people from various from Teso sub-region to really gain access. If you have a teacher who is teaching at King's College from Teso sub-region, most likely this teacher will help other students to come there and study from King's College and so on. So for me, this is very, very important. But also we need to put in place a deliberative scheme, source for jobs for graduates from Teso sub-region within Uganda and beyond. Because educating these young people to get quality education is not enough. They need to get access to employment. They need to work in good places. If you educate somebody from Teso sub-region and gets a certificate or diploma in nursing, we should have a mechanism of lobbying for this person to get a job somewhere in Kampala, for example. And then when they work in that environment, they'll be able to now to start their bachelor's at Mackay University, like a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. But somebody has to enable them getting that access. So lobbying, having a deliberate scheme to lobby for jobs, especially for these graduates that have gone through this, if you want them to give back to the fund, then they should get quality employment. But if they don't, then they want to be able to give back. So for me, that is very, very important. And I promise to work with you as a Ugandan so that we can continue uplifting Teso sub-region, uplifting the country as a whole. I'm involved in various institutions, and I decided to spend the remaining part of my life like serving Uganda and the region. But right now, the university that I started in 2012, Uganda Technology and Management University, know it as UTAM, we are finishing construction of a very, very huge campus in Ukungu. That's a place in Matuga, 20 kilometers from Kampala. And we want to use this campus in Ukungu, which we are opening in September this year, as a vehicle to educate people within Uganda and beyond. And why we put a campus in Kungu, that is that area of Matuga Guru Road, is because that place has become an industrial hub. As I speak today, that area has 120 plus industries, manufacturing various things. And there are other industries in Nakasongora, Ruero, beyond, but they're also in that area. But a walking distance over like 30 minutes walk is enough for you to move from Kungu campus and go to an industrial park and have gainful employment. So we did a survey within the over 120 industries, and the findings were that they already actually have places where they can employ students who are studying at university, but if they have the skills. So when we discussed with them, we said we want to do a survey, and which they allowed us to do. We found out that actually there are two areas where we can begin with as a pilot. We've decided to start with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Finance. So that we are going to train people in these two areas in big numbers, so that at the end of the first year, or before they finish the first year, we work with the industries to give them gainful employment. Now, because there has been COVID and many people are hard restrained, and I'm going to liaise with the chairman of this forum, we have decided that for September, which starts on 10th September, these two programs are going to be on 100% full scholarship. No student will pay any money on these two programs, the Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and the Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Finance. We are offering 100 scholarships on each, but we are not going to provide accommodation. So the students that will be selected, there are 100 students on each program will study for free. But this scholarship is for 1 year. So we don't want to create a dependency that somebody will come and just be supported. In 1 year, we're going to train them, give them soft skills, all skills they need, and assist them to get into those industries. There are over 120. And each industry was saying for us to work day and night, we can take on like 15, 20 of your students if they have skills. So we realized that we can actually work with those industries to do this. Now, we are not going to put a limitation on who can get on these programs, but we want people to apply, and then we assess. As we assess, if you look at your criteria, if we have more applicants than the 200 that we need, then we shall look at the marginalized, we shall look at issues of equity, we shall look at all those. But we are going to provide these 200 scholarships, and if people from Teso sub-region have people who can support them with accommodation for 1 year, we shall give them free education. But after 1 year, they have to work. They'll start working in this first year. Because when we teach, we don't teach for a whole day. If you're on a day program, we teach you half day. The rest of the day, you can do other things. Over the weekend, you can do your own things. So you can start working. And the university way is best. Accommodation, you'll be shocked. A good house of 3 bedrooms goes for 100,000 in that community. So you can imagine how many students can get one house and stay there. even the food, the cost of the food is also cheap. So we did that deliberately to be an industrial hub, but to support many people. Now, don't ask me how many scholars we are going to give people from Teso sub-region. If you have those who can come and get accommodation on their own, let them apply. And we are going to consider those students, but we shall support them for 1 year without paying any fees. They will study. If you're in a BSc computer science, you do your 1 year, you'll be left with 2 years. The remaining 2 years, the money you've earned, you support yourself. If you have not earned enough, you take a dead semester or dead year, you work, and then you come back and study. Or you move to another institution of your choice. We'll give you a partial transcript for that 1 year. The same thing applies to BSc accounting and finance. Because there are those industries, they need people in accounting and finance, record keeping here and there. So that's why we are starting with those 2 programs. What our other programs, you have to pay 100% of the fees. But for these 2, we want to prioritize them in partnership with the industry, support people from all over the country. I want to thank you for listening to me. I did want to talk a lot. I'm not the politicians, the ones who talk a lot. So I wanted to just use a few words to say these things. They are the same things we talk about. But what I'm saying is that we should have a multi-pronged approach. We should not just look at one solution. Let us look at all solutions and develop the region. I thank you.
Oh, my goodness. Professor, and you said I said a lot about you. Now you make me even feel small, because if I knew this was coming, I would even probably say more to introduce you more, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would rather like to start quickly with what Tony Blair said in one of his memorable speech. The former Prime Minister of UK, he said this, and I quote, "No one will help Africans except Africans themselves," he said. No one, because you know the reason why the West, of course, would not like to help Africans, because they need our resources, and that, you know, they need it very, very cheap. So what you're providing us today, the confidence you actually built in this charity is so wonderful. Let me start also by mentioning to the audience today what James Allen actually say one of his book, As a Man Thinketh. At first, and for a time, a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn, and the birds wait in the egg. And in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stares. Dreams are the seedlings of realities. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall it become. This charity, Teso, has dreamed to change the narratives, to help the young people who are not able to get into education for whatever reason, be it money, be it the access to education because of the location. They want to see that everyone is not left behind, especially, as you mentioned in your speech, girls' education. Because girls are mothers of the world. And Africa should be proud of their mothers, the girls, the wife, the sisters, because they need to be educated. Imagine how many men actually live with their children for a long, long time, like the woman does. Imagine the time we spend in the womb for 9 months. So our mothers are the future of our nations, our continent. So girls' education is so important. So thank you so much for making that happen. I mentioned this again. It was one of our heroes, Dr. Martin Luther King, who said this in one of his deliveries, which I love so much. And the way he said it is so palatable and actually resonates well with this conference. He said, if you have been called upon to be a street sweeper, he said you must sweep streets so good like Beethoven play music. Shakespeare wrote poetry, and Michelangelo painted. Those 3 individuals were mentioned for all the hard work they've done. We know the work of Shakespeare, Michelangelo, and the man who composed one of the most memorable songs of all time, a blind man, deaf, and it was the composed song. Why were those names mentioned? Because of the good thing they've done, they've left behind. So I believe this charity is on a road to making a big, big difference. Because of time, I want to leave it at that because we have in the house Professor Chris Imafidon, who I believe his presence today will mean a lot. And I also love the fact that the executive chairman himself has not only painted a picture of all the project intervention that the charity has been involved in. I was mesmerized with the data and the work that has been done so far, placing people in different schools and supporting them. I don't think anyone on this platform today would not be putting their hands in their pocket and bringing out a lot of money to support this charity. And also, there is dinner that is actually organized after the event today, and the venue will be posted on the chat. A majority of us already have the location for the dinner. Please don't be one of those who listen to all the good stuff and not taste the food itself. The eating of the pudding is in the tasting of it. So we'd like you to come and be part of that dinner, because there you meet people, you rub shoulders with people that matters in the community. And we've seen that just listening to one or two of the presentation, many are already offering their support to collaborate with the charity. And I want to say, before I go to Professor Mafidon, that London Academy Business School will also be supporting the charity with at least 3 or 4 scholarships straight away for at least 1 year as well. So to buttress what Professor Venansious have mentioned, we would do that, but ours is purely online for now. There's no physical location for that. It's going to be an online for an adult who can basically do either their 3rd year or the 2nd year or the 1st year. So 1 year program scholarship for 3 people to start with, and then we'll work on the rest of it again, but we'll mention the details later on. So thank you so much. And who is Professor Chris Imafidon? Well, I don't even think I need to start, because he'll be annoyed with me if I say too much about it, because he will say a lot himself. This man is an award-winning professor who basically affects people's life in different ways. And just a few things I'm allowed to say without making him feel so offended. I will just say a few things about him, which he allowed me to say. I had to take permission for this, but I believe it's imperative that I say it the way it should be said. He's a multi-Guinness World Record holder, mentor and discover quite a lot of initiative and share that with a lot of people. He believes in education. He's also the chairman of international education himself. He has rubbed shoulder with Richard Branson and professor of MBA at Cambridge University, Oxford itself. So he has a lot to do. And his daughter, I must say this, one of the most genius mathematicians in the UK. So this man has a lot to offer. Without saying too much, I'll probably say a few words when he concludes his speech, but I'd like to bring him on board right now. Professor Chris Imafidon, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. I want to salute the Vice Chancellor that just made the remarks about giving scholarships to Ugandans who want to study accounting as well as technology, at least for 1 year. I salute that innovative approach that opens doors to a lot of people. So I want to thank Dr. Patrick for this noble initiative, because most people climb the ladder, and when they are on top, they throw away that ladder. They don't care about that ladder. And for you to bring in humanity, in your humanity, and want to say, let me do something for the next generation, is very commendable and must be supported by all. Because if we don't take care of the next generation, they will deal with us, and everything we have built can easily just collapse. Number two, the next generation even have bigger opportunities. So it'll be a loss, a colossal loss to Africa if we do not channel their talents and their energy to be able to deliver on the next level, because they are sitting right on our shoulders. They have to see further and do more. Let me start off by sharing bits and pieces of my slides that will illustrate some of these points and also demonstrate to us that we are now living in a golden era. So if we do not realize this, we are going to play small, because Africa has come full circle and the position of leadership is now inevitable. Please, if you're on this call and you can see my slide, I will want you to just type yes in the chat box, because I'm projecting my first slide now. The untapped opportunities, not potentials. Potential is something that can happen. Opportunity is something that is knocking on the door. So please, I want you to type yes in the chat box if you are if you are here and you can see the slide. Thank you very much. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Piles. Thank you. Thank you. So the potentials that we, all of us, have as individuals can be developed or destroyed or suppressed by circumstances. That's the reason why I salute the pioneer Vice Chancellor for thinking outside the box and letting everyone know that those that have talent must not, because of money, be denied the opportunity. Because once you have a talent, oh, we need it. Once you have a talent, not just for economy. Some people think, oh, they need to develop their talent so that they can contribute to the economy. No more, much more than that. We must be able to deploy that talent for the good of our immediate community and for the global benefit as well. Because we've talked about COVID briefly, and some people see the negative side of COVID. I need to show the very positive side that came out, so that we'll know that those of us that lost anyone today, we must not weep that much, but we must seize the opportunity that the lockdown that is associated with COVID now conferred on us. COVID conferred lockdown on us, and now what was designed for evil is come back to be exploited. And once it's exploited, we will show to the next generation that the world we existed in before COVID no longer exists, especially when it comes to human capital development. And that's why I love about that program that the professor talked about, that you will spend 1 year and you will get a job. That means you'll be able to apply the knowledge we're given, not just store it and regurgitate it in an exam. So I really think that the words that Nelson Mandela said, that education is the most powerful weapon, most powerful than your military might, most powerful than your economic might, because a lot of the talk in the society is skewed towards this thing called economic power, not knowing that the foundation is education. That means nurturing the talent in that individual child, regardless of gender, regardless of whether or not that child is from a wealthy background or that child is rural. Because when we invest in that child, we have built a mighty army for good, not for destruction. When we invest in that child and orientate that child, we have done what the divine calls all of us to do, to suffer the little children to come unto me and forbid them not. Because they say such is the kingdom. So it's a divine duty for all of us to grab this opportunity on the back of education. I'm just showing you a lineup of some students here, including children of African ancestry, who in the UK, and thanks to Zoom and so-called lockdown, has expanded to the African continent. We are having challenges with getting continuous streaming, but most of it has recorded, and now people in rural Africa are able to access education for free, thanks to the power of technology and the way we are using it. And that is the reason why I have to show you this map. This map covers the whole of Africa. This map changes the power that is in the hands of our teenagers and our youths. This map transfers that thing that you call a cell phone into the biggest tool for education, for knowledge, for understanding. Because of the accessibility that we now have to technology across Africa, those children or those youths that were employed in that locality in Uganda are even able to make their skills available to the United States, to Canada, to Europe. Why? Because you may be in one location, but that position no longer defines your importance. We have people today that are in Lusaka that are working for American firms remotely because they understand technology. And I'm very curious. If I was going to ask a question, I would have asked, why is it that the chancellor is starting with computer science? Because that's very strategic. That's going to redefine the entire livelihood of each of those 100 students that enroll for that computing course. Because Microsoft has a dedicated program to go to African universities and recruit the talent and ship them to Vancouver, Canada, and ship them to Redmond. It's called Shettima. This is not a gossip talk. This is reality. I know it's very hard for us to believe, especially people of my generation that are of Jurassic thinking and almost like a dinosaur. How can somebody in Uganda, in Kampala, be working for a big hospital in Houston, Texas, and live in Kampala? Difficult to understand. But that's one of the unintended consequences of COVID. That is one of the things that has pushed us to look beyond lockdown and remote working and make it institutionalized so that work is no longer location specific. You can be, you can be, I have a mentee who is Indian. lives in India, but goes to work every day in Düsseldorf, Germany. Yeah, we're in the meeting last week. So I want the Kampala students to be given the opportunity to also contribute to the local economy through global opportunities. Because the whole of the Japanese stock exchange, ladies and gentlemen, the stock exchange in Japan right now, the back end of the computing processes, if I tell you how close the workers are to Kampala, you will not believe it. Because of this map. And I want all of us, if you forget everything I said today, please remember this map, because Africa is now wired up. And the next generation are so keen. They are so keen. I had a group of people that were on Zoom with me from Abuja. And we had others also attending from Kumasi. And they were making comments about young minds, 7-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, that have never had any computing classes at all. They are able to operate the cell phone with such ease that the only thing we can use in describing these individuals is that they are digital natives. You know, some people say, I'm a native of South Africa. I'm a native of Kenya. I'm a native of Morocco. This next generation we are considering today are digital natives. That means they understand these tools quicker and it comes to them naturally, almost like drinking water. And I'm happy to be able to harness this so that all the students that are given scholarships during the school holidays, they are able to intern for high-tech companies that are located in Canada, for high-tech companies that are located in Europe and the UK. And we need to give them the enabling environment because they already have the talent. If we do not give them the enabling environment and nurture it, they may use it for self-destruction, or they may just use it for entertainment, as most people are doing now. Over 78% of our African usage of cell phone, it is entertainment. They forward funny videos so that you can laugh of a cat and a dog scratching the wall. That's not what I'm talking about. They send you YouTube videos. No, we need to be able to show them on a program like this how they can download one app on their cell phone and they'll be able to make 5 figures in salaries and earnings. So the issue of poverty can be also eradicated because of this singular opportunity that our grandparents dreamt of. If our grandparents were going to travel from Kampala to New York, it would have taken them 6 weeks because they will have to go by water. Remember, they go by ship. When our parents went, it took them 6 hours because they took the Boeing. And we now have Concorde that can take about half of 6 hours to get there. But this next generation behind us can instantly, they don't need DHL, instantly work a 30-page document and send it to the office of New York Times. Instantly. So this is why it will be shameful if we have been given this opportunity and then we allow other people to abuse it and use it for fraud when they can use it for something legitimate. When we can guide them and they can use their computer to do things that are positive, they will do what is called app development. They will be able to maintain cloud. They will be able to do cyber security. They will be able to do things that the whole world will look for and marvel are the deposit of talents in Africa. Because Africa has the opportunity. And if we will be failing, we, the adults that are uncles, the adults that are aunties, will be failing in our responsibility if we don't guide that teenager on how they can use that cell phone to produce graphics that they will need in the US, to design applications. Like now the UX, U for uniform, X for Xerox, designers are needed because of the global pandemic. Doors have been opened. And if we lost so many people during the pandemic, we must pick up this legacy and turn it into a gain. I just want to give a quick example. Anybody on this call can type in that flight radar, F-L-I-G-H-T, radar, R-A-D-A-R 24. I need everybody on this call to do this because this is one job that you can do remotely. And you don't need computers, ladies and gentlemen. you don't. Because everything a desktop can do, a laptop can do. Everything a desktop can do, a laptop can do. Now, over 98% of what a laptop can do, a tablet can do. And everything a tablet can do, your cell phone can do. Because these cell phones that you're looking at now, the ones that are in your hand, the cell phone you are looking at right now is 196 times more powerful than the entire computing network of NASA that put Apollo 11 on the moon. So I want to frame it in such a way, because when I'm saying two, you might think, oh, why is he exaggerating? The computing power you have in your hand can put a man on the moon 140 times. But because we have not educated the students, we have not empowered the youths, that's why they're using it for funny things. We have not guided them to show them how they can help the accountant that is in Utah with their figures, how they can sit in Kampala and look at the entire medical record of UCLA in Los Angeles and help the doctors to book the appointment, confirm the appointment, and then check which insurance which patient is having. And at the end, they will be paid in dollars. But remember, they're in Kampala. So this is what I'm saying, that your economic wealth is no longer location dependent. And once we broaden the minds of these young men and women, all of us will be benefactors of their own strength economically. All of us will be benefactors of their own strength psychologically. That's why it pains me that we can still talk about poverty alleviation. No, we should know that poverty elimination is now the new paradigm, because the old thinking has passed away. We got to renew our thinking in such a way that if we can get those 100 students, I'll be very pleased to mentor them, so that when we are now looking for funds, we know that these funds are easily available because of this added benefit. I'm sharing my QR code. You see, before I used to have a business card. When I'm going for meetings, I used to print business cards. Again, that is for dinosaurs now. The one I have now is a QR code. And that QR code has my image and has my first line of description. Anybody that hovers their phone over this QR code, as you see it now, will immediately download my entire details. This has my contact details. This has my website. It has everything. So if you now teach these young men and women that have started computing, or are even doing nursing, because there is no profession now that has not been made online. You heard about e-banking. I mean, I will waste my time trying to explain to you how the banking revolution has been shaken by what is called financial technology, what they call fintech. So tools like this, they can use it in any village, in any location, and then be able to contribute to the 9/11 celebration in Washington, D.C. without you leaving the comfort of your home. This is the beauty of the new world we are living in, because we are now using the cell phone as a tool for education, the cell phone as a tool for economic activity. And what our fathers would have dreamt, literally dreamt of, we now have it very easily. You see, before you had to be CNN or BBC, I'm just finishing with this case study, to be in broadcasting, you have to be CNN, you have to be BBC, you have to be Fox News, and you have to have multi-million pounds of investment. Do you know what is happening now? Every cell phone is a broadcasting machine. All you need to is download the app and press it, and people that are 6,000 miles away will be seeing what you are seeing, and you'll be broadcasting with it. We cannot allow our students to go through the same hardship. As I'm on this call, I have what is called an AI-enabled application. With this AI, I can attend 16 Zoom meetings at the same time, 16 for one device. And I can extend it. There's an extension now that can move it to 60 Zoom meetings at the same time. So I can have my bot attending, or robot, they call it bots, mini bots, attending meetings for me here in London. And then another one simultaneously translating what I'm saying to Japanese, to German, to Spanish. The word impossible has been repelled by technology. So that's why I'm excited about the fact that African youth are not wanting to be left behind in this technological race. And they have seen that the opportunities available to them must not be let off. And I finish by showing this. This is one of the cardinal things that we should take away here. We have 90 million jobs today that are unfilled, vacancies that cannot be filled because we don't have enough manpower in the West to fill it. That is why Google is partnering with the South African government to see how they can recruit more people. Twitter is trying to partner with the Ghanaian government. So you know why? We have 1 million jobs right now in privacy and trust that can be filled by Africans. We have 6 million cybersecurity personnel. We need 20 million different data analysts, machine learning, and AI. We need 23 million cloud and data roles right now, and 98 million software developers. So if we turn all the departments of English in the US, the Department of Law, the Department of Medicine, and turn all the departments to just teach only computer technology, all the US schools and colleges that award degrees, 4,923 of them, we will not have enough to fill the skill gap. I put this here to confront all of us on this call. This is the reason why this gap must be our next target, so that we'll be equal contributors. So those that used to look down on Africa will now know that we are equal partners in global development. The playing field has been leveled for this next generation. The Japanese population is aging, and they are not producing enough children. that will meet their manpower needs. The best they can think of, the Japanese government, is trying to create robots that will do the job, but we know they can't do the job. So that's why I agree with Nelson Mandela. The most powerful tool that will completely redefine African position today is here, and we must use it. If we don't use it, we are damned, especially as we've been benefactors of this, and that's why I support this. It's a win-win situation. I just want to rush through this. Okay, these are case studies of people that are now Africans that are now on a six-figure salary, six figures, $100,000 a year because of this trouble. And now the companies have even said, we will hire you even if you have no coding skills. All they need from you is have communication skills, collaboration skills, curiosity, and a creativity. They will give you the skills that you require. I have a 21-year-old that is on six figures of African ancestry. I just wanted to show you the sample to tell you I'm not telling you theory. I'm telling you things I have felt, seen, and touched. And I don't believe that Uganda economy should be anywhere near low income society because of this equalization. Our doctors in Uganda should be also skilled in clinical informatics. So this is the global problem that we are solving. You see, look at Monaco in Europe, the average age is 53.1 years old. Look at Africa. And Uganda, by the way, is 18 years, 18. That's the median age of Uganda. So the energy is there, the youth is there. The tenacity is there because through the adversities of poverty, they have been toughened. They know how to make sacrifices, short-term sacrifice. So we are going to change the narrative using programs like yours. And that's why I'm so excited, Dr. Patrick, to do whatever I need to do to change things around and move things forward so that the West will completely depend on us. And we raise businessmen like Nick. I want to capture it and look at that link is on BBC. That young man there, he developed one app, 17 years old. One app, only one app. And I will tell you what that app does during the Q&A. One app, that app sold for $30 million, one app. So, and we are now collaborating with another African that developed another app during COVID. So it's not a one-off. There are 20 programmers employed right now as I'm talking to you in Lagos that are developing and refining an app for a Silicon Valley based in San Francisco, California. So in Lagos, 20 people working on one app. I know them because I supervise them. And the company has over $19 million right now. That was the last valuation. So the story is changed. It's time for the African youth to rise up, and it's time for us to extend these opportunities and give them the new orientations. I salute you, Dr. Patrick. Thank you, Dr. Larry, the VC. I want to thank you for spending time here today. And so we are going to carry this battle to the outermost part of the rural areas. Thank you.
Professor Imafidon, as always, I cannot thank you enough for not only bringing colors to this wonderful event, but bringing data that could change the mindset of everyone. Now, with the permission of the executive chairman of this program, Dr. Patrick Igulot, I want to open the floor for a quick question and answer session before. So I also want to mention, please, it's time for you to make pledges. I'm sure you've heard not only enough, we haven't given you enough, there's still one or two things we need to mention before the end of the day, but I'd like us to quickly start to make our pledges now. I don't want to lose anyone. We have 40 in the house, and so please, the chairman would like to know how you want to be involved. We've heard from the first speaker who have basically offered scholarship straight away. He didn't just speak, he spoke and gave solution of what he can do. So please, if you're here today, whatever you can do to support this charity, either you have a brother, you have a sister in government, you can lobby, you might not have money, but you can lobby. We would like to hear from you. As a professor Venansious actually mentioned, he said, not every one of us on this platform will be able to say, I can give you 200 million shillings or 1,000 pounds. But we probably know someone who we can lobby, who can help these individual young people grow and develop. So please, put your name down. You might be a good Christian who doesn't like the right hand to know what the left hand is doing. We appreciate that. So you want to keep it confidential, fine. Just leave us your number or your name and your email address, and we will contact you. By the way, everyone on this platform today, an email will be sent to you so that you can also reply and also make your pledges, but you can do it right here and we will make it very known to others. So please do just that. Because once this time is over, we will be chasing after you. We want you to commit yourself today. So please, we know we trust you. You're very, very amiable, and of course, colleagues who want to see Africa change. I mean, as we speak, let me quickly remind you, as we speak, there are wars going on in Congo. There are wars going on there. You're not hearing about it. You're only hearing about war in Ukraine, not the one in Congo. And why is Congo fighting? It's not Congolese that is actually fighting each other. We have foreigners who are actually fighting the Congolese because they need their material. Without Congo, as you know, there won't be electric cars. You know that. There won't be phones. There won't be even computers. The coverts that is being dug from Congo are what is used. Electric car depends solely on Congo. And without that country in Africa, there won't be any of those. So if we can educate ourselves, there'll be a ripple effect from Uganda to Kenya to South Africa to Nigeria and other places. There will be a ripple effect. And I'm going to, after today, I've actually seen the data from the executive chairman. I'm taking a different dimension, a different role that I want to play in this whole thing. So please, the floor is open for questions for Professor Venansious or sponsor people for the dinner as well. We will appreciate that. And they're very, very cheap, just £50, £100, and so forth. So please, waiting to hear from you. In the meantime, I probably would like Dr. Patrick to just say a few words of few thank you to the two presenters before we carry on. But at the same time, we'd like to hear from everyone on the platform, please. And if you're here listening, don't forget to quickly say, yes, I'm enjoying this. I have 11 comments already, which is quite great. So please ask questions as much as you can.
Thank you very much, moderator, Dr. Larry. I don't have much to say. I knew, of course, what was coming. That's why we went for, Professor Venansious and Professor Mafidon. I think Mafidon should just be wisdom instead of Mafidon. So let's give the audience an opportunity to ask some questions or make comments as they pledge, or you can just drop your comment or pledge on the chat. As you have seen, what has been done was because there was money and some people made a contribution. So without money, it's going to be talk. And the Teso Education Fund is not about talk. It is about action. And the money is the one that causes the action. So just to echo, in the afternoon, we have a dinner here in London. So if you have not yet picked your ticket, there's still space for us to come together again to discuss how we can make, our people better. So I think that's all I can say at this point. Any questions or comments, please direct them to any of the speakers. And when we finish the questions and comments, then we can have Professor Venansious and Professor Chris to make concluding remarks. We will leave here exactly at 1 o'clock. The last speaker is traveling in the US, and there's an issue of time difference, but also commitments. So he may not be able to be with us. So when we finish the questions, we'll have concluding remarks, and then we depart.
Okay. Please, if you want to raise up your hand, I'm ready to actually give you the audience to say a few words. And you might just start from saying how much you appreciate what has been said so far, or how much you love the initiative. So, and usually when it comes to gaining opportunity, knowledge like this, don't forget, you're probably better off than others. You can see those children that we saw that Dr. Patrick was basically visiting in their own. He has to go by the second day to find them. I'm sure all of you on this platform have a phone. Here are young people who cannot be traced because they don't have a phone. Phone is no longer luxury these days, it's a necessity. So even if what you can do is basically contribute a little amount of money that could help these young people, that would be great. And no amount is small. And we will not be announcing how much you give. So don't be afraid, don't be shy of that. We will not be saying, oh, this man gave only 50 pounds or only 100 pounds. We will not be saying that because we believe it's important. But if you want us to announce it, of course, if you're giving us, 2 million pounds, 1 million pounds, 5,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds, if you want us to announce it, we will. But if you say, okay, you want to also keep it quiet, we will do the same thing as well. So please, the floor is yours. And questions, also very important. If you don't have anything to offer in terms of money, fine, but ask questions. Let's hear that you're enjoying the program. This has been, 6 months in a waiting, been put together. So whilst you're here, we want to appreciate your presence. So please fire up with your question. Remember this, no question is stupid. The one that is not asked could be that one that is stupid. So please ask your question. Anyone out there? Hello, everyone. Okay. Extremely grateful for all and participants.
Alex,
can I come in just briefly?
Alex put up his hand. Alex Ado put up hand.
Oh, okay. Ado. All right, Ado, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this audience. And in fact, this meeting has been very inspirational and wonderful, even more than what I expected. I think Dr. Patrick casually discussed this with me some time ago, and yesterday, without knowing anything, he just mentioned the fact that it is happening today. I'm not going to talk too much, but what I've heard today is enough to be part of this very good event, and also be part of this particular action. Now you've found what the problem. Dr. Patrick has detailed the problem. The first professor has given us the strategy. and Professor Chris has given it the solution. So I think each one of us, even if you don't have anything to do, we can look at all these three areas: the problem, the strategy, and the solution. How are we going to contribute? As Dr. Larry have said, you can give in kind or in cash. As an accountant, I know that you can never have anything done without having what? Money. We deal with cash. So the contribution needs to come on, and not, as we said, not everyone wants what it's going to do to be published or anything of that nature. So with me, I will liaise with Dr. We all work together. If you want me to be part of the team, as he has already requested, I'm available. And also, in order to add to what the person the field, give the person the cutlass, you need to give the person the field. Other than that, what is he going to use the tool for? So, assuming you are accountant, maybe you got some accounting firm, you can have some students who are studying accounting and finance over there. They can prepare some accounting transaction, send them the data, they prepare, you pay them. It also supports their education. There's a lot that you've learned from Professor Chris. And I think we are all going to join together to make this wonderful action so that our country, our continent will benefit. I think each one of us have got something. I don't mind to give online lecture free of charge to some of the students or whatever it is based on my field. So these are certain things that I think all of us can do. There are a lot of things that I can also discuss with Dr. Patrick in terms of funding, crowdfunding, and other stuff. Other people from other areas, other diaspora also can be invited to this. And that can be something that all hands will be on deck. Thank you very much. Thank you for your audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Ado. And we are always very appreciative of your wisdom. We have in the house as well, Mr. Igulot, who would like to say a few words. And I also believe he has something to offer us, to share with us, and probably make a pledge as well. So please, Mr. Igulot, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. My name is Leonard Igulot. I am the chairman of DEF UK, and
okay.
I would like to thank everybody for taking their time to come and attend, to come and give us all the words of wisdom that have come through. There is a lot of information, a lot of issues we have heard from all the speakers. It's all very inspiring, because when we started with this, we thought it was just a little thing, but what it has turned out to be is something so big. It is not only here in the UK, it is in Uganda, and it is all over the world. We have the children's lessons that we give, the Teso lessons, which is one of the main things that we're looking at as a part of the culture. I basically would like to thank everybody for all their pledges. I know there's a lot of people who are listening in and are joining in and want to know more about what is happening. It's all about making sure that our children go to school. We want to try to make an impression on whatever we can, whichever way we can donate, whichever way we can contribute to our communities back home, because we know these children, get to a point where they cannot carry on with their education. And all our humble appeal was to try to make sure that these children can continue carrying on with their education. I'm one of those who has already been pledging all along, one of the ones who's been contributing, one of the ones on the list our ED, Dr. Patrick Igulot, had already presented. So I will carry on with my pledges that I've always been doing. When I go to Uganda as well, I will also be going to check on some of the students back who are doing their lessons and who are part of the TEF journey. But my only issue here is just to welcome everybody and to thank everybody who has been able to say a word, and just to make sure that we can carry on whatever little we can get, whatever contributions we can get to enable us to carry on taking these children to school is very much appreciated. And I would like to thank everybody for their presence and their time to be here with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oguli. I really, really appreciate that. But I also want to mention quickly, we have Rosalind in the house. After Rosalind, we have Dr. Ikechi Agbuba, and we have Solomon Okiro as well. But I want to mention quickly, on the website itself, there is a button where you can donate, anonymously. So please make use of that button if you have to, please. All right, we have Rosalind in the house, Mrs. Maja Kodumi. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, all protocols observed. I want to say thank you to all the participants, all the professors, and the presentation was an eye-opener, especially Dr. Imafi and Professor Imafida's presentation. I have put my information on the platform, but what I would like to say as an administrator and a capacity builder is that I'm just getting to know about this program today, but I would like to support in the area of bringing professionals together in terms of fundraising, resources, how we can get resources. There are funding all over the world for developing countries, for African continents, but we need to be able to have what meets the eligibility criteria. And that is what I can support the institution to achieve, not only the institution, but I will also encourage us to spread this opportunity across African nations. So in terms of capacity building, policy development, in order for us to have access to resources, support for graduates or undergraduates to have scholarship, I can support with that. And executive coaching, service development, and also community engagement. Because I believe that when we are able to bring along at the grassroots, communicate with all the citizens, let them understand the importance of what we are doing, we will be surprised at the number of people that we get involved. So I think that's what I would like to say at this point. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Maja Kodumi, I'm sure you know who I am anyway.
I do. Thank you, Dr. Larry Jones. Thank you.
All right, so I know what you can bring aboard. So, and I saw the list of what you put on the chat already. I'll be speaking to the executive chairman about collaboration with you because I know it's very important. I know what you can bring on the table. I sent you this invitation just about an hour before the event, and yes, and you were here. So thank you so much. For honoring the invitation itself is so wonderful. Thank you for that. And I'm sure I will speak on your behalf with the chairman to make sure we get things going. And also, the gentleman who I also sent the information to, just only a few minutes before he starts, Dr. Ikichi Agbugba. You're next on the list, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Larry. And
thank you.
Thank you for the organizers. When I saw the link, it was shared on different platforms that we happen to have been, and I saw Ugandans there. I was, wow, I need to share it because I belong to a lot of Uganda groups. In fact, in Eastern Africa, recently we applied for ISIPE call. ISIPE is trying to encourage youths to encouraging researchers and academics around the world and researchers to develop a document about using of insects. You know, insects are used now in promoting agriculture, from the crops, even in the livestock. So Ikechi is my name, and I'm a university staff, university professor, and I am also an agribusiness activist. I'm a food security expert, and I have spoken at an event with the University of Sunderland recently, where Dr. Larry spearheaded, and I also enjoyed listening to Professor Venansious and Professor Imafidon. We know that Uganda's economy relies heavily on the agriculture sector, and of course, that's it employs about 65% of its labor force, of which 63% are youths, and most of these youths reside in rural areas of Uganda, and of course, that's where the youths, they make the largest population of Uganda's population percentage, not just in Uganda, in the entire African region. Why am I saying this? I'm saying it because we are trying to develop something in Uganda. Uganda is one of the countries that we selected, and there's an Indian who lives in Uganda who is also doing a lot there. But we, at the Kavala International University, we are trying to build, we have identified about 5 countries, Uganda is part of them. We're trying to build an entrepreneurship factory in line with agriculture. We're trying to build the capacity of our farmers. Our farmers are majorly smallholder farmers, and when we build their capacity, their entrepreneurial capacity, that is when they can participate effectively in the economy, and of course contribute significantly. Even now that the African Union's free trade area is being structured out in such a way that the countries will trade favorably with being more liberal in their trade. So we have received a proposal from the Ugandan people. I wouldn't go specific now, but that project is worth millions of dollars, and we will soon deploy it. We were trying to work with Makerere University, but we were advised to be careful. Why am I saying it here? I'm saying it because we also need to encourage people to work with us and not bringing about bureaucracy, and trying to use what I mean. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, so we are trying to work with people who are really sincere enough, at least 90%, in deploying this. So we have a commissioner, some agricultural commissioners for agriculture, and there's another university, I can't remember that private university, but we will ensure that this project is carried out so that our youths can be gainfully employed. You know that what the agriculture sector stands to offer. Of course, it will go a long way to provide food, more food and raw materials for industry, also secure more jobs. And just like in line with what Professor Imafida was saying with computer science, we need people who are in the IT to come into this program, because it's an approach that I developed with Dr. Beatrice Bishop, a German lady who did the PETS foreign policy ecosystem, and I populated that content with the new dimensions, with in fourth industrial revolution and precision farming, smart farming. So that is the agricultural hub that we are trying to build up in Eastern Africa, and Uganda has been selected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Aguba. Really, really appreciate that. And I'm sure the opportunity of collaborating with the foundation in agri business will be an opportunity for all of us. So I believe that will happen. That will happen seamlessly as we move on from this particular conference. So thank you so much. Sorry, we have a guy called Galaxy A21 in the room. We don't have his name. So please, can you unmute yourself and let's hear from you. Hey, Galaxy 21S.
Yes, that's me. My name is Solomon too. I'm not the doctor. I'm just Mr. Now, I've been listening with excitement at all the presentations, and I have taken note of the figures, I've taken note of the advice, and I'm sure we are going to put it vigorously into use. One thing which excites me more, the 100 scholarships to the new university. Professor, this current year, we had to let down 200 aspirants gently, 200 who could have gone to any university. Is it possible you give us an indication of how many you could give us? Because we have a lot. We have people who are qualified, and that would go a long way to help us. That's only if we have to pay for their maintenance. Now, I'm one of the trustees in the board of TEP. I'm also an elder in the Teso community in London, and I represent Papa Mormor here in Europe. So thank you very much for your deliberations. I know very well, nobody can work on his own. Nobody can stand on his own. So thank you very much. You have stood with us. You have you have taken your time to give us this information, and definitely we are going to use it. Thank you. I don't want to waste any more time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elder. I want to say thank you for that insightful contribution. And seeing someone like yourself, I know you're also very busy, but being those who will manage the fund giving to the charity actually makes us feel very secure. No doubt about that.
Yeah, thank you. You can't believe it. I'm actually running a charity, a food bank at the moment, but while listening to you. The community here also are in poverty, and we're giving them food every Saturday and Tuesday. Thank you.
Wow, wow. Can I also ask Mr. Solomon Okiro, who is also in the house, to also please kindly share his thought on the proceedings so far. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, moderator, Dr. Larry. My name is Solomon Okiro. I'm currently a volunteer for Teso Education Fund. And at the same time, I'm currently a student at Uganda Technology and Management University, pursuing a postgraduate diploma in monitoring and evaluation. I just have a semester left. I must say that third semester that is coming, that is September, I will be finishing, or I will be in my last semester. I thank all the professors, to mention a few. That is Professor Venansious and Professor Mafidon, for all the impressive speeches that they have made to see Africa as a continent on top. This afternoon, my kind plea is for anyone who is in this, or anyone in position, or whoever who's attending with us right now. I'm asking that person for a redirection to that company or that institution that will help me to put the burning M&E skills or the theories learned right now into practice. As we all aware, the people who are here, who might be in that field, they all know that monitoring and evaluation is not just an art that you can study and you be there if you're not placed, and you expect it to be actually having those skills. So I believe that after this starting point, because in life we all need that starting point, and that is a starting point that I'm requesting, I will be in a position to contribute beyond what I am right now as just an IT volunteer to TEF. But while I get into that position, I will be in a position to be someone who will be in a position to make pledges, donations, and so on, to ensure that my brothers and sisters who are struggling up with education in Teso will be in a position to see a smile at the end of the day. Thank you. That is mine. And
Thank you very much for your contribution, Solomon, and for all the hard work that you are doing for Teso. I must also quickly mention one of the good news. So one of our trustee who talked just a few minutes ago convenes Professor Venansious to increase his donation from 100 to 200, and he has done so. Fantastic. So we now have 200 people being sponsored by Professor Venansious, which is wonderful. But of course, with the caveat, they must meet the criteria. And I'm sure we have enough of them who already met the criteria. So the executive chairman, what do you say to this, please?
I was just applauding the contribution.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm sure this in itself will ginger everyone on the platform to do the very best. I must say we have Professor Taha in the house as well, who just joined us. Professor Tawa Hali Basamba, who just joined us. And I'm sure he will have one or two things to say. Please, Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Larry, for these comforting words. This is my first time to interact with the Teso Education Fund community, and I'm glad to be here, and I look forward to further engagements to help the people of Teso achieve what they want. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your coming to give us your time and also to support the initiative. We will be looking forward to see what we can do with you. We also have in the house, he started Shimboso. I'm so sorry about this. I'm very sorry about that. I think he's in the house. He wants to say one or two things, or perhaps make some pledges as well. I'll be part of the dinner tonight. So the floor is yours, sir. You start Shimboso. Please help me, Dr. Patrick, if I'm not pronouncing it well.
I think maybe as they prepare, Stella has a hand up.
All right, okay. All right, okay, let's have Stella then. Stella, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Larry, for facilitating the workshop. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Please allow me also to thank Dr. Patrick, who has done his presentation, Professor Mafidon, Professor Venansious, and all the other speakers who have just spoken, and notably Rosalind Nozizue. You've posted information on the forum, and Dr. Ikechi, and all the others who have spoken. Also allow me to thank the trustees in Uganda and in the UK, and the management in Uganda and the UK. Some of them are logged on, but of course, because of time, I think it may be difficult to introduce them. But I'm one of the members here in the UK, and I want to say thank you everyone for turning up, for sacrificing your time to attend this workshop. I've been taking note, I've been responding on the forum to some of the offers and some of the requests for collaborative and partnership working. So I wanted to possibly note the offer by Rosalind and Nozizue and Professor Venansious, and others who have made an offer. I just wanted to say that we are taking note, and we'll definitely be following up, and we'll be having further discussions, but also share good practice, because in any organization or charity work, partnership working is the way to go now, and sharing good practice helps us to progress. So as I conclude, I also want to welcome and to encourage all those who are in London, and possibly you are not planning, or you've not booked your ticket to attend our dinner tonight. We still have places available, and I want to encourage you to attend. And it will be my honor to receive you and to serve you. So I hope I will be able to see you later. So for those who would like partnership working with TEF, or who are making an offer, please do post it. Feel free to possibly speak out or speak. But also, if you could post your details on the forum, then we'll take your details and follow up. So thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Larry.
Thank you so much, Stella, and that's wonderful. But I'm so glad to say Dr. Nosiwe King from South Africa. Actually, I contacted her this afternoon by dropping the invite on the platform, and she said, I'll be here. But I can assure you, she has a lot to offer as well. So please, let's make sure we reach out to them. Once again, we want to invite the speakers, Professor Mafidon, if possible, or let me quickly go to Professor Venansious first, and to thank him for the contribution he has made so far. But we'd like him to have a few words before we depart today. So please, Professor Venansious, the floor is yours.
I want to thank you very much. I have enjoyed the discussions, the presentations, and I was also happy to be called Vice Chancellor, though I ceased being a Vice Chancellor. After Makerere University, I started Uganda Technology and Management University, where I served as Vice Chancellor up to 2015, and I handed over to other people to run the university. But I'm the main proprietor of the university because I hold more than 60% shareholding. And I'm also Chancellor of Uganda University. My district is Uganda. So that is why there's a university in Uganda. But I'm a Chancellor. I award degrees. So I confer degrees and award diplomas and certificates in Uganda, but I'm not a Vice Chancellor.
They are all also going to have theirs.
Yes, so I'm happy to be part of this forum. Currently, I'm finalizing the development of the Higher Education Strategic Plan. I'm a team leader for Uganda. So we are coming up with a strategic plan for the higher education sector that is going to guide the tertiary institutions, the universities, the agencies participating in the higher education sector or space. So we hope to be done with this in the next 3 weeks. So even outside what we do, also try to contribute to the education sector and various capacities. Not long ago, I did a study on research management capacities for universities in the whole of East Africa. Before then, we did a study on ICT systems in the whole of East African community, all aimed at guiding or providing recommendations that can help build the higher education sector in the East African community and beyond. Now, I want to end by saying, yes, we are providing scholarships, and this is not far from now because our semester begins on 10th of September. And by 1st, I ensure that the advert is out by 1st of September. It will be out for these scholarships. The scholarships are for 1 year. They are full scholarships. We are not asking any money from a student. They are 100 for BSc Computer Science, 100 for BSc Accounting and Finance. Why these two programs? Because we know that the students who will study on these two programs are going to get employment within the 1st year in the surrounding industries where the campus is based. So that after 1st year, they can pay for themselves or other people can support them. However, in the 1st year, they have to look for accommodation on their own. They have to look for food on their own. You're not providing food, you're not providing accommodation. And I studied in Europe. I also went to the US and other places. I know a student, if you are supported for the 1st year, after that, you can actually work and study and pay for yourself. So we want to create, inculcate that culture in Uganda, so that students don't think they are going to get scholarships all their life. We are going to teach them how to fish, not to give them the fish. I thank you, and I'm happy to be part of this forum. I'll continue interacting with my friend who invited me to give a talk.
Hello.
And any other information, I'll pass it on to him.
Can
Thank you
you
very
hear me?
much. I also have lunch online.
Well, thank
And
you very
for
much.
those who don't know my face, I can put on my camera. That's me. I'm growing old. You can see I'm hair.
Don't worry, we will be having dinner with you online. So thank you so much, very much. We will be finishing in about 5 minutes. So we have 2 minutes for Professor Imafidon to quickly and have the final say. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Professor Imafidon, are you around?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for that comment, and thank you for seeing the face of my professor friend. Thank you. Like I said, we will want to deploy this program in Uganda to be able to support all the students that are training. So we'll have some form of work placement for them during the holiday so that they acquire working skills, not just studying skills. And based on the needs and the skills, I want to see the skill sets of all the students that are on this program and see how we can do guaranteed placement that will match their skills and also enhance their studies so that when they come back to the next semester or next term, they work like A students or A-star students, because this opportunity is rare and it's useful for everyone to be able to confirm that their skills is valuable to the market. This is one reason why students drop out, because they don't understand how valuable that skill is or how valuable what they are studying is. If we can demonstrate industrial attachment and some form of internship that is paid, that means rewarded. The student cannot sacrifice their time and energy only for just get a pat on the back. No, it'll be paid, rewarded in Uganda and located in their environment. If they don't have the hardware, we will collaborate with the potential employers and see how they can support them with either a laptop or some tablet or some device that will be able to support them during this period. Thank you very much, and it's a delight to contribute in this way.
Thank you so much, Professor Imafidon. As always, you are a great guy. Box of wisdom. Well, thank you very much. Before I invite the chairman to have the last say, I'd like to quickly say this quickly. This is taken from Nelson Mandela lecture in 1993. May he so rest in peace. He's a man that I think we all adore. He said this, and I want to just quote what he said in a different way. A new society cannot be created by reproducing the repugnant past, however refined or enticingly repackaged. No doubt that is well explained. And what Professor Dr. Igulot Patrick is doing here is helping us to see how we can package, repackage what we have as African. And I must also say, this is also one of this quote, which says the greatest glory in living lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. What does that really mean? Yeah, we might say, why is Africa where it is today? Hey, let's not go back in time. Let's move forward. Let's try to see how we can change the narratives. This is the intention and the objective of this platform, to see how we can change the narrative. And believe it or not, we are all designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with a seed of greatness. Everyone in Africa has the capacity, has the talent, and what it takes to achieve the greatness that they deserve. But you must be willing to do today what others will not do. So at the end of our lives, we do not regret the things at which we fail. We regret the things at which we wish for but never attempted. So you might be here today and you say to yourself, I love to give some money, but I don't have. But listen to me, we all drink beer with 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, or the like of it. No matter how poor we are, we can afford to donate even 5, 10 pounds. Like we said, no amount is small. A penny gathered together will become 1 pound. Together will become 10 pounds and 100 pounds, and so on and so forth. So no amount today that you donate is small. And I believe you will do your very best. So I'll leave you with that little quote. This one, which is from Herbert Macaulay in Nigeria, where he says, when the end comes for us, let it find us climbing new mountains and not sliding down hills. So we can see that we have a lot to do as individuals on this platform. So please, don't just go without making some kind of commitment in your mind, or at least a pledge. And I think that will make us all very happy and grateful. Thank you for your support, and thank you for being here. We'd like to invite the executive chairman of Teso to give parting words.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Larry. I think all has been said. I don't want to dilute anything. I just want to thank everyone for sparing their time to attend this event. It's a series of events to mark 2 years of wonderful results, as you have seen. I want to thank very much Professor Baryamureeba for always being there whenever called upon. We appreciate, and we appreciate the offer to work together to educate, our people. And we'll surely get in touch and work out the details of how we can take the offer forward. I want to thank very much Professor Chris Murphy-Don for, Chris is such a busy person, but he never says no. So I appreciate very much, and the perspective that you have shared, and the fact that we actually have, everything we need to succeed. It's a matter of just to engineer things here and there, and we can get our people to succeed, especially using technology, because technology came and technology is here to stay. So we can no longer debate, whether or not to use technology. We can actually move in that direction and strategically adopt technology as a way to help our people. So I thank Dr. Larry. He's actually very far away. That's why he's he's very far away in Thailand, but he accepted to moderate the discussion. So to everyone, thank you very much. See you at the dinner. The dinner is at here in London at Croydon. So I'll see you in 2 hours' time. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I want to say a big, big thank you to the organizer of this event. I think it's been a success. We if we put the value of 200 scholarship together and 3 from London Academic Business School, I think we've raised a huge amount today. And I'm sure there are others who have kept quiet, silent, who will be, donating online. We didn't just that. So please don't forget, donate is on the website of Teso. Please go there and make your contribution, no matter how small it is. Just take, for example, we're 31, 37, 40 people on this platform. If we all even give just £5, you can imagine what that can do to one student. So please do your very best. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you for coming. Have a good evening. Take care.